Your access to music was, in a general sense, was limited by Top of the Pops. Although, as you grew up as a teenager, you experimented.
You go into a record store and spend hours and hours just at the racks. That's what I've done on a Saturday.
So I would go into record shops and I would look at record labels and record sleeves, and whatever was aesthetically pleasing to me, I would investigate.
There was a Virgin record shop in Frederick Street in Edinburgh at that time. We used to go around there every lunchtime to check out, listen to albums.
Your David Bowie's, Roxy Music, things like that. And the reason why that was interesting is because it was, one, sound-wise it was different from everything. Visually it was different from everything, and it kind of challenged people's perceptions about what it was like to be a teenager.
When the White Riot tour came, it was one of those moments where you realised all the things you were feeling about being slightly disenfranchised and being young and not having money and things just being very confused. To suddenly be with a group of people, you looked around and you thought, oh, they're just like me.
I remember the Sex Pistols appearing on the NME or Melody Maker, and it was just like, wow.
When we heard the Ramones album, that was pretty fantastic. And then when the Sex Pistols, became known and started appearing in the music press, I just realised, well, this is it. This is our chance.
You started hearing all these sounds, and there was no polish to it, and that kind of kick-started everybody to think, well, there's not an enormous amount of musicianship going on here, but there's a lot of energy. We can do that.
I had just started a band, a school band, so to speak, with who was later to become the first drummer of the Scars, Callum. We were both in the same class at school together, and we started a band. And we were just doing it for fun, and we were playing like Saturday matinees at the Odeon on a Saturday morning. We'd have films for kids, and we'd be allowed up in between the films or the cartoons to perform one song at a time, sort of thing. And we would just get up there and just jump about on stage and have great fun.
It was a DIY ethic, and immediately everybody started playing music. There was a massive explosion of people in garages, I suppose that's the kind of cliche, if you like, but everywhere. I made a guitar, not a particularly brilliant one, but I couldn't afford to buy one until I could get my hands on one that, was halfway decent, and I just knocked one together.
We had that, homemade bass, and the guitar that I was using was a trebly guitar, and I had this little WEM amplifier, and it was really overdriven at the top end. It was just a sound that I really liked. It sounded like nobody else was making, and it's a sound that I'm still trying to capture and still working on today. We had the name long before we had the band, actually, and to be honest, it was a bit of an out-and-out punk name, because I was definitely going to form a punk band, and I didn't know who would be in it or what it would sound like, but it was more like an imaginary band to begin with.
Paul called me, we were very young, and he said, look, I want to make a band, and I said, well, yeah, I'm in. I said to him, I want to play guitar. I said, no, too late. He said, I'm playing the guitar. So I said, great, I'll play the bass. Didn't matter,
Put an advert in a record shop window. It was called Hot Licks. I was looking for a singer. We had a drummer already, and we knew that we wanted a real frontman who was going to perform.
One day I was in Hot Licks. I was looking at the ads for band members, and I saw an advert by a band called The Scars. They were looking for a singer.
We only got 1 or 2 replies, actually, and invited both of them for an audition.
Robert came down and just opened out, and I think it was Anarchy in the UK that he did. We said, something everybody knows, just to see the size and shape of him.
And he kind of curled up in a ball, crouched down on the floor in this garage, and then exploded up into the air and started shrieking. It was the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
We had already seen the White Riot, so we did have an idea how punk bands performed on stage and how they presented themselves. So obviously I was taking a leaf out of it. some of the band's books that I'd seen on stage.
It was almost like one of those horror films where the scary character elevates himself into the air in a sort of exorcist-type fashion and screamed. Says, I thought the roof was going to come off the shed, you know.
So I sort of looked across at John and I thought, but, you know, we've really got a live one here. And then I thought, yeah, this guy has definitely got the job.
They wanted me to join them, and I convinced them that the drummer who was in my previous band was worthy of joining them also, and that was really the epiphany moment.
Well, when Robert came along, he had an enormous amount of energy and also quite a left field approach as well. He was into some things that I hadn't been exposed to, so there was a lot of cross-fertilisation of ideas there as well. And that came into songwriting very, very quickly.
We wanted to be punk, but also we wanted to move away from what punk was, in the sense that we wanted to have our own identity. And a lot of that sprang from glam bands.
Ultimately, he had a sort of a pop sensibility about him as well, which is very much where Paul and I were coming from. We wanted to write pop songs, you know, and but we wanted them to have energy, and we wanted them to be different. We didn't want to sound like anyone, you know, so we promptly set about inventing ourselves.
And at first, everybody was calling themselves like Brian Puke or something like this, so I called myself Bobby Charm, you know, like in an attempt to be opposite from that kind of carbon copy problem. So it was quite evident at the start we did have an idea that difference was important.
We didn't want to do the same thing as it. We didn't want to play three-chord thrash. We moved away from the basic thrash thing really, really quickly because we were bored by it. You know, there was much more to explore, and we wanted to do something different, and we wanted to do it now.
Has been launched by the enemy directly at our major cities. Immediately this announcement ends, you have exactly 9, repeat.
Our first gig was in September or October of 1977, just a few weeks, literally a few weeks after we formed. It was at Balerno Town Hall. We hired the hall ourselves, got the PA and the lights, and did all the promotion ourselves. And we managed to fill the place. By that time, we had responded to an advert in Hot Licks again that was set there by Hillary, who's Bob Last from Fast Products' girlfriend.
We put this really weird thing up about something about polymorphous. Oh God, I can't remember. Yeah, it was some weird thing, and we just wanted to see what would happen.
I phoned the number and said, hey, you know, if you've got your band together, why don't you come and support us, or let's do a gig together. Or I was sort of deliberately reaching out and trying to make friends, you know, with other bands. And she didn't have a band, but she came to see us play.
But that was a great success, and from there we started to get a small following. It would follow us around the small bars and clubs that we would play. And from there things developed.
They had a lot of supporters as well, like friends who just loved seeing them play. They had a regular gig in the Wigan Pen in Coburn Street. And they were just pretty phenomenal. It was incredible to think that somebody that was the same age as you, these guys were writing these super original songs. They weren't just like three-chord, this idea that things, but once again, they were really very original and very real individuals as well.
We'd come on stage and people would shout "Poofters" or whatever like that. So I would usually start the gig by saying, well, anybody that wants to fight us, you're welcome to meet us backstage after the gig. Nobody ever came backstage, but that was part of the kind of show.
Something about the Scars seemed to attract that kind of particularly violent or aggressive edge from audiences and sometimes from the band towards audiences.
We got noticed for being entertaining and you know, putting on a bit of a show. Sometimes, you know, equipment got damaged and tempers were lost, but it was all part of it was all real.
We had the Mekons lined up, Gang of Four. I said, we need to find Scottish talent. There's the same thing going on here. I know there is. And I was told, right, go out, find it, you know. And very quickly did.
Girl on the run around, got me all around town.
For whatever reason, I can very clearly remember seeing Roxy Music on the Old Grey Whistle Test. I don't know how I saw it or when, but that moment was why, when I first saw the Scars actually play, and I think even from the beginning, Paul Research would notoriously turn up in pink leather boots and God knows what. That was my reference point where I get this.
We, I think, attracted the interest of Bob Last, Fast Product, and we really liked his whole approach. He had a very kind of very left field approach to what he was doing.
On Fast Product, they almost seemed to capture that sort of zeitgeist where there were just great records like the pop group She Is Beyond Good and Evil, Nag 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 by Cabaret Voltaire, and then suddenly you had in Scotland, in Edinburgh, you had Fast Product, and it was really quick off the mark. It obviously used the punk and this generation of young turned on kids, basically. It harnessed that energy and created something new, and obviously before Factory.
I think in the atmosphere and approach of the whole Fast thing and Bob's kind of vision at that time was inspiring to us, and it was it made for quite a fertile environment for ideas to be hatched and things to be started.
He was very driven. He knew exactly what he wanted for Fast Product. Nothing was going to change his vision at all. He was quite diplomatic in the fact that he managed to get people like myself, who's like quite a kind of confident and sometimes chaotic young teenager, to sit down and do the kind of things that he would prefer me to do.
We used to go around to Bob's place a lot, myself and the other guys in the Scars, and then also David Henderson from the Fire Engines was around there a lot as well, and Russell and the band that turned into the Flowers.
I used to be in their house all the time, really. I loved being there. Yeah, it was the fact that he was putting records out, and the records were getting reviewed and getting played on Peel. It was just, I mean, that was incredible. That somebody that you actually was in your immediate vicinity, that you could have a conversation with in a kitchen, was putting vinyl out.
I think the fact that they were hanging around there probably had an impact in making them believe things were possible, which was great, because that was what the whole idea of the label was, to say, look, things are not as you assume.
Let's go!
A whole year passed, and meanwhile the Mekons came out, the Gang of Four, the Human League, and I was like, are we never going to get our chance to make a record? And I was thinking, gosh, his label is getting really hip and really big, and he's probably not going to be interested in the Scars anymore. But he did finally do it.
Well, what I always thought was interesting about Fast Product was when it started, it was primarily Northern English groups that were involved in the label, and most of them had a sort of university politically active background, and that was great, and it was great hearing electronic music like the Human League. But where it really became charged for me was when they signed the Scars, because that was a Scottish group.
He took us to Rochdale of all places, to record our first single, and it happened really quickly. It was quite raw and a good experience. Rochdale in the rain, grim.
Horrorshow was essentially just a synopsis of the Clockwork Orange, because I'd always been fascinated by a Clockwork Orange, and so had the other members of the Scars, as I think most teenagers of our generation, because only very few people had ever seen it, and it held a kind of strong hold over the British psyche. Paul came up with a one-note guitar chord for the song, and John came up with his blinding bass line, and from there that song was born.
It was a seminal moment for us. We thought, this is great. This is the studio, it's not demos, this is producing something, get it right, get it out really, really quickly, and Yeah, no, it was an awakening.
Adultery, that was about the kind of things that the middle-class normal society would get up to. You know, with their hypocrisy, they would like pretend to have this normal life, whereas at the weekend they were sneaking away for adulterous affairs. And that's essentially what that was. It was just a spin on the hypocrisy of middle class, Terry and Juneness. I mean, I was 17 when I wrote the songs, so they were quite straightforward in their lyrical endeavours.
These guys were like 17, and they had Rab as the singer, creating super intelligent boys. They were, honestly, and they could really play. That was the thing, they could all play.
And a lot of people suggest that Blue Boy by Orange Juice was the start of the whole explosion, you know, and that Blue Boy was like Scotland's Anarchy in the UK. I don't think it was. I think it was Adultery and Horrorshow on Fast Product by the Scars. That exploded. That was just incredible, and it still sounds incredible. You know, it's just an amazing kind of mission statement. And the fact that Fast Product had signed, you know, a band from Edinburgh, it just felt that Scotland was alive, and that was a big moment.
It was extraordinarily exciting to see kids who'd just been lurking around in your flat suddenly doing stuff that seemed to be taking some of the ideas we were playing with a whole nother step forward. And I still really love the Scars single. It was an underrated release, I think.
It was tremendously exciting to suddenly see yourself on posters advertising your new single and reading reviews in the paper where people were saying nothing but good things. I don't think we ever got a bad review for the single at all. And to suddenly realise that you were there, you know, you were on the opposite side of the record store.
Nothing lasts forever. Okay, everything has a lifespan. Our kind of creative relationship with Fast had a lifespan as well, and when it was over, we knew it. We knew we wanted to move on to something more commercial. We wanted to make, you know, and Bob wasn't interested, and he was looking for the next, you know, kind of, he was still hatching ideas.
Only the Mekons had done 2 singles with Fast, and 2.3, I remember hearing their demo tape, and Bob was very dismissive of their follow-up efforts, and I just thought this doesn't really augur well for another single with Fast, and also it seemed we didn't really want to be seen to be treading water either. We did want to move on, we did want to sign with a major label, and it took a while to get that together, and the deal that we signed wasn't really a major deal, but it did enable us to do the album.
We parted with mutual respect, and we didn't really part so much as kind of drifted away. You know, we signed a record deal with somebody, and we moved city, you know. I don't regret any of the time we had in our relationship with Fast Products at all. Was a constructive and creative one, you know.
I think we were thinking about what would possibly be the next single, and then a record company came along and offered us money, because obviously the Fast thing it was independent, so the money was not as frequent as you would expect it to be with a major.
It means a lot to me. I would love to live there, but it's too far away from a lot of the things that happen around the band, so we're having to live down here in London. We felt at the time, in order to move on and you know, keep evolving, which was crucial, that we had to try new things, and so we moved to London, you know, started recording.
It was 1980 when we finally signed with Pre-Records, and we did 2 singles with them. Neither of them were that great.
The single had potential. I think that we were forced into production choices by the record company. I think we had the wrong producer for the single, and that had a big effect on the sound, which was disappointing ultimately to us as a band.
As much as we you know, were refreshed by the new things about it, the whole change of scenery, I felt personally they were kind of missing a little something as well that actually came from being in amongst our peers and you know, cross-hatching ideas with them.
we didn't really click in the studio until Author at the very late 1980, early 1981. And by that time I'd got so fearful of going into the studio that I was almost reluctant to do the album, because it seemed that every time we went into the studio we somehow kind of neutered the sound. We were playing some really good gigs, playing quite ferocious gigs sometimes, and we just couldn't get that sound to translate in the studio. We didn't have the right sympathetic kind of ears that we had when we recorded Horrorshow and Adultery.
Pre was basically one guy, Richard Butchins, excellent guy. He signed us, and we could see, and I think this is the big difference between recording with an independent label like Fast, you know, and the atmosphere of that, and a major label, albeit a subsidiary of that, is that you could see the guy who signed you fighting for resources, fighting for publishing budget, fighting for promotion, you know, from the major label, and they were not quite sure, a little bit ambivalent really about the whole new music scene, and the impression I got was very much that they weren't sure how much to invest in it or whether it would be a runner, you know, and but we made the album, Author, and immediately they loved it, and they started investing in promoting it, and you know, that was quite refreshing actually, and we felt vindicated.
When the album first came out, we got a very good review in Sounds, and they gave it 5 stars or something, and then Paul Morley turned up on the tour. I said to him, have you seen the review in Sounds? It's fantastic. He said, that's nothing, wait until you see my review. And I just thought, oh my God, this is great.
I think it's great, and the pavements are golden, and you know, everything's wonderful.
In some ways it was very gratifying, because when you're a teenager you buy these papers and you see bands in them, you cut out the pictures and you stick them on your wall, and suddenly we were propelled into that arena.
Now from Edinburgh comes Scars, who've just released their first album, Author. They are our first studio guests tonight, playing first of all About You.
Getting on TV was, I mean, yeah, I loved the old rehearsal test. I used to watch it all the time, and you know, back in those days there weren't that many music shows that were showing bands actually playing live, and so it was great to do.
It was a cold day outside today. I have nothing to do, so I thought about you.
Getting stopped on Oxford Street or in Soho by girls and giggling, they'd send you fan mail and stuff like this, so in that sense it was good fun. But on the other hand, it caused a lot of friction with the record company, because I still kind of had an idea of, even although we were breaking into the pop scene, we still had to be subversive. And around the time around that period, I was frequently found around Rock and Russian. Well, they were record sleeve designers, and they were responsible for the magazine ID. And so I would send letters back to these girls that were kind of pretty subversive, and their parents would write angry letters back to the record company. And so it was a kind of, you know, two-sided sword, for me anyway.
We'd been touring pretty continually for a couple of years, and by this time we were really fed up living in each other's pockets. So the band started to fragment, and it meant that when we had downtime, we were spending time away from each other whenever we could. And that's not a good recipe for getting together and fighting back with the next, you know, top 10 album.
Speaking for myself in particular, yeah, drinking drugs, I would take them all, and women, as many as possible. You know, and I was never ashamed to admit that. That was part of the experimentation of the time.
Did it have a positive effect on the band or a negative effect on
Both. I would say ultimately a negative effect in my case anyway, because I began to take hard drugs, and that was affecting me as an individual, which obviously would have a detrimental effect on the band as a whole.
Being in a band is like, I liken it to being married. all the good and the bad compressed, you know. You're touring with guys, you know, everything about them, what you want to know and what you don't want to know. And, you know, that's quite a pressure cooker for young guys. You know, I think you get, you know, elation, then you get hubris, and then you get collapse.
To go from a position of being very well received and always praised to being, you know, thought of as, you know, going off the boil and perhaps not the coming thing anymore is actually quite an uncomfortable situation to be in. And your initial response is to try to recapture it before time runs out. And I always felt that time is now running out for us.
We had a kind of new management team that was taking us in one direction, and you know, some of the band wanted to go in one direction and some of the band wanted to go in another, and that caused friction, which caused us to implode. And I think that probably stopped the album being more successful than it should have.
Robert left the band, and we carried on. Tried to find another singer, it didn't work out, and we carried on for another year with me singing and with a variety of other musicians in tow. And so, I mean, it continued for a year, and then I kind of lost a bit of faith in it and thought, okay, we should really stop calling ourselves the Scars now.
I think testimony to bands who stick together and keep their creativity and you know, learn to make it work. That's a definite skill that probably we didn't have, actually. And again, you know, the Scars, they had a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's the right thing.
We'd like to dedicate this next song to Mr. Palmer, for whom we are here for. Yeah, we are yesterday's kids, every one of us, yesterday's kids. Do you remember something? I remember one time in November in 1975 reading a live review about this band that intrigued me. They were called the Sex Pistols. About 3 months later, I started looking out for new clothes to wear. Gone were the soul boy shoes, gone was a haircut, gone was all the past that I ever knew, cause I knew in the future this change that I did would make me a yesterday kid, yesterday kid, a yesterday kid, a yesterday kid.
Bienvenue, mesdames et messieurs, et les autres. Pour votre plaisir, les cicatrices. St. Charles hotels and Tucson. Philippines hope to get permission, please, through the governor. Horrorshow, McCarthy's, can stand the violence. Take away the film, take away the Beethoven. Makes me sick, stretch and vomit. Using rhythm because technique. Alex, my boy, just step this way. Down the corridor, third on the left. We're gonna show you some films, okay? Okay, drugs, let's go. Thank you. We are the Scars. Downstairs, he's outside waiting. Skip down the stairs on stiletto heels. First the restaurant, then the movies. Classy restaurant, home for romance. This is a weekend. This is a weekend. This is a weekend, so let's have Thank you. Some water is required. I opened the car door for you. Oh, the alien tongues, they sound so harsh. You're in this spaceship, can you hear me? Wait until the backs are turned, and then I'll take yourself away. You'll hide in the hills at no place. But if anyone finds us, I'm sure. But then again, that's if I save you. For now they close their spaceship doors and take it off with you inside. Are you having fun? I don't know what I'll do. I have to save the human race, but aliens took my wife away. They came and took her. 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 Thank you. You sound so far away, but we're so close together. Okay. You should know this song. It's about summer love, unrequited. And we have more party guests. Leave me in the autumn when the leaves fall from the trees and the wind can whisper goodbye. Summer is too pleasant to be here without you. Don't go, I'm afraid I'll cry. Leave me in the autumn when darkness comes too soon and snow is on the way. I'd love to spend the summer here with you, just you, the sea, and I. Leave me in the autumn when darkness comes too soon and snow is on the way. And you'll be far, so far away, and I'll think of you every day. Leave me in the autumn and promise you'll return next year when it's hard again. We can laugh and maybe hold hands next year when it hurts again. autumn when the day is cold and grey and darkness comes too soon. You'll be far, so far away, and I think of you every day. Leave me in the autumn, promise you'll return next year when it's hot again. We can laugh and maybe hold hands next year when it's hot again.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wonderful audience. It's good to be back in Edinburgh. Thank you. And there's some birthday people here tonight. Wish we all a happy birthday. And some of them are 50.
Happy birthday, Jed. Happy birthday, Tim.
Take care. And we hope to see you in the Citrus Club afterwards.
lose your face. You turn your back and walk away, away. Thank you for such a friendly reception.
Is anyone a little bit frightened?
Dark. Someone looking at me. Do you think he knows? Waiting for some action, but decide to walk instead. He's not sensing someone following, I'm picking up my pace. Through alleys dark and empty streets, I wait for him to make his move. When I reach the safety of my home, I look back, shrug and smile. No one watching, no one following, no one in the rain. I wish I didn't worry so. Can't explain this fear. I'm not frightened of the dark, not frightened of the dark, not frightened of the dark. I'm not frightened of the dark, not frightened of the dark, not frightened of the dark. Bolt and run, it holds me back. My bullet, no fear of the dark. I'm not frightened of the dark, not frightened of the dark, not frightened of the dark. I'm not frightened of the dark, not frightened of the dark, not frightened of the dark. I'm not frightened of the dark, not frightened of the dark, not frightened of the dark. Thank you. I'd like to take this opportunity to dedicate this gig to friends past and lost, sadly, but most especially Mark Bolan. Shooting through the windscreen, blood underwear, glass in my eyes. People standing watching someone from an ambulance, Roman looking wicked, collar still home. Blue man, my face is touching light on the ground. stand and watching someone pull an ambulance from a wicked cars to home. They'll never face the country's lying on the ground. The doctor said the ribs are broken, stand back, put her on the stretcher, please.
Yes. Very nice. Thank you. A little bit of respite while we get our breath back. Your dead face, your unseeing eyes stare at the ceiling above. I look on your body one last time. Goodbye, my love, je t'aime. You're so kind. You may remember this song. Get ready to scream. When I scream, are you going to scream along beside me? Thank you again and again and again. Can I introduce you, Paul Research on guitar, John Mackey on bass, Callum Mackay on drums. We are the Scars. Okay, this is, we wrote this song when we were about 15, I think. I think we were 15 when we wrote this. Say run, I'll run for you. Run until my heart stops. When you cry, I'll hold you tight. Love you till your eyes melt. Love you till your eyes melt. Can you tell me when? Sad. Always makes your face look sad. Your room is locked, I force the door. Watch you crying on the floor. Muscles are a handsome mask. Vanity is pleasant too. Meet me in the bone orchard. We'll be there, no one but me and you. Drink myself to death. Makes me feel like such a man to bring my lovers home for you. When you cry, I hold you tight. Love you till your eyes melt. Meet me in the bone orchard. We'll be there, no one but me and you. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, we're going to go to the south of France. Lyon, non. Nice, non. Montpellier, peut-être. We could look into a private hotel where we could some wine and dance. Have a fun of the wife and ask her to leave out in the Norman and talk to me, can. Miss Brown, I love you. Miss Brown, I need you. If I divorce her, would you marry me, please?
Lie detectors follow me in without cameras at the ready for proof. £10 an hour plus expenses, I hope she gets her money's worth. The founder's naked in a car one day, no excuses offered, none taken anyway. A cold case, alimony granny, and my possessions, and now her, that fucking bitch.
Thank you. Thank you. Good night. Good night. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to say thank you. And we never, for a long time, we never imagined that this was going to happen. And now it's happening. Great. Anyway, listen, we're gonna do a couple of songs, and I'd like to reintroduce someone that you might have seen earlier in the evening, Mr. Murray Ramone from Shock and Awe. If you didn't catch that band, then you're going to get plenty of opportunity to do that in the future because they're excellent. Anyway, while he's getting himself plugged in, we'll just reinvent ourselves for the encore.
Remember the Circus Club afterwards? We may do a couple of songs there, just as long as you're up for it. And it's only round the corner. But also remember, we have a bootleg CD of Valentino's 1981 gig on sale. Author album, t-shirts, badges, posters. Spend.
Babushka, trade on delicts will pay them back someday. Death sentence. Listen to the devil dream. Babushka died that very night for 14 years in Zutai. Speak, it wasn't Alex's fault. Playing the Alps and Drews no less. Kicked and clanged and studied the full and glassed the hell. Jim and Zoo, Georgie boy is dead, they said. Found outside the biblio, the sentence. Listen, never free. Get back in line. You scum! Zutai, Charles, hotels and Trousseau. Fellow players hope to get remission, please, through the governor. Horrorshow, McGlasses, can stand the violence. Take away the films, take away the bay home. It gives me sickness, search and vomit. They're using Ludovico's technique. Alex, my boy, just step this way. Down the corridor. Third and over. We're gonna show you some film. Okay? Okay, troops. Okay, this is a song made famous by someone else. You will know it. We hope. Losing my head, losing my way, losing my brain cells at 1 million per day. I'm so disillusioned, I'm on suicide street. I've seen everything in every shade. Seen 1984 in a terrible state. Seen you Quasimodo hanging on my gate. Oh, he was so of a bad wasted. Oh, he was so she was young enough, she was well strong enough. Well, Desdemona and me, we had a ball in a tree during our permanent moment. It was shocking to me. There was so much to fight. We scream out of fear. Come into my heart, come and tear me apart. Wanna be claustrophobic, compassion. I'm so confused. I wish I could die. Oh, you were so hung up and wasted. Oh, you were so stated. He was young enough. He was well hung enough. Jimmy Jean, she's a queen of the sea. She's a rag doll. She's a rag doll amor. Schizophrenia, where we belong. Sing it all the windows now over again.